Sometimes, you pause for a second and ask yourself, who am I? Not as a deep philosophical question, but as a quiet, unsettling whisper in the back of your mind. You've lived with yourself your whole life, spoken with your own voice, thought with your own mind, and yet, there are moments when you feel like a stranger in your own skin. As if the person you see in the mirror is nothing more than a projection, an image built from fragments of expectations, influences, and fear. As if, despite all the time that has passed, you're still a mystery to yourself. Since you were a child, people told you who you are. You're like this, you've always been this way, this is what you like, this is what you don't. And without realizing it, you believed them, because it's easier to fit into a pre-written story than to face the uncertainty of not having an identity. But at some point, that story starts to feel foreign. As if you've been living according to a script you never wrote, playing a character you never chose. And the worst part is that, over time, you realize that even others don't really know who you are. They only know the version you've shown them, the one that best fits their expectations, the one that doesn't create noise or conflict. The problem is that you were molded to be someone your parents, your friends, society, everyone contributed to building the version of you that they wanted to see. And now, every time you deviate from that image, something inside you screams that you're doing something wrong, that you're betraying what you should be. But what if what you should be isn't what you truly are? What if within you, there are 1,000 different versions, trapped under layers of rules, labels, and fear? You look around and realize that no one really knows you, not because you're hiding things on purpose, but because you've always presented yourself in the way you thought you were supposed to. At home, you're one person, with friends, another, at work, someone else entirely, and so you go on, changing masks depending on the occasion. But in moments of solitude, when there's no one to impress, when there's no role to play, you feel the emptiness of not knowing who you really are, because you've spent so much time playing different versions of yourself that you've forgotten the original, if there ever was one. And the worst part is that this feeling of strangeness doesn't fade. It grows stronger over time, more evident, more suffocating. We pretend we are something fixed, stable, because the freedom to be anything terrifies us. We prefer a defined role over the anxiety of not having a clear destiny, and so we convince ourselves that we are what we do, what others tell us, what is expected of us. But what if all of that is just a disguise? What if beneath all those layers, there's nothing concrete, just infinite possibilities? What if, in reality, you are an unfinished work, in constant reconstruction, with no fixed essence to define you? Existentialist philosophy tells us that there is no predetermined human nature, that we define ourselves through our actions. But how do we define ourselves when every choice we make could have been another? Kierkegaard spoke of the anxiety of choice, the fact that, by choosing one path, we inevitably leave others behind. And perhaps that's why we cling to a predefined identity, because the weight of absolute freedom suffocates us. Sometimes, you catch yourself acting in a way you didn't expect. Something makes you laugh when you thought you wouldn't find it funny. Someone awakens a part of you that you believed didn't exist, and that's when the mask cracks a little. But instead of exploring that gap, instead of questioning what lies on the other side, you rush to fit back into the image you already know, because it's more comfortable to be something predictable than to accept that you could be something else. Because it's scary to admit that maybe you never really knew yourself. Because acknowledging it means that everything you've believed about yourself could be a borrowed construction, a convenient fiction. We spend our lives trying to be someone, to solidify an identity. But what if identity is nothing more than a prison? What if the real problem isn't that others don't know you, but that you've avoided knowing yourself? Maybe, deep down, we are nothing more than an echo of everything that has surrounded us, a reflection of everything that has shaped us. And maybe true freedom isn't about discovering who we are, but accepting that we will never be just one thing. Understanding that change isn't a betrayal of our identity, but an inevitable part of it. As Nietzsche said, there comes a time in life when we must become the creators of ourselves. And perhaps that is the only real meaning of existence. But tell me, have you ever felt that the version of yourself that others know isn't the real one? Have you ever felt like you don't even know who you are? If so, let me know in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Because here, we don't have answers, but at least we share the same questions. And sometimes, just knowing that we're not alone in this uncertainty makes the weight of existence a little easier to bear.